Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to this evening's edition of LIT, Lessons in Truth Tuesdays. I affirm that all is well with each of you as you have joined in tonight. For those of you who are on the Zoom room, I say welcome, and you can participate by dropping comments in the chat, raising your hands if there's a question. For those of you who have joined us this evening by way of the Oasis Spiritual Center's YouTube channel, welcome. Maybe it's late at night or early one morning on a different day than the day that this is being presented. But whenever you're looking at it, it's all about right here, right now. Every Tuesday night, we're out here at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And we may do some adjustments because we're moving into the summertime, and I know people are maximizing the day. When they get off work, they want to get out and get into some of this. So I may do something creative. Like I may do the Tuesday nights teachings. I may pre-record them and drop them out here at 7 o'clock. So whoever wants to actually see them at 7 or be part of that can do that, or you can grab it at the most opportune hour for you by just going to the YouTube channel. So I'm going to toy with that and see which direction I'm going. So I'm glad you've joined me tonight for an enlightening session in Lessons in Truth. Tonight we're going to delve into the profound teachings of the ABCs of affluence. Are you ready to expand your understanding of affluence beyond mere financial wealth? Well, in tonight's sessions, we'll explore the multi-dimensional nature of affluence as beautifully articulated in the renowned author and spiritual teacher's book by Deepak Chopra. Affluence is not just about money. It encompasses a state of being where we experience abundance and richness in all aspects of our lives. So tonight we'll discover the true meaning of affluence, where every desire we have can come true because inherent in our desires are the mechanics of their and for their fulfillment. We'll learn how to tap into the generosity of the universe and align our actions with the flow of our life and manifest our desires. During this transformative teaching session tonight, I'm going to be sharing from one of the books. We'll delve into the ABCs of affluence, exploring the concepts of abundance, balance, consciousness. ABC, abundance, balance, and consciousness. We'll gain practical insight on cultivating gratitude, nurturing relationships, pursuing personal growth, and finding alignment with our deeper values and purpose. So I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here and that you've chosen to join us as we move beyond material possessions and embrace a holistic approach to affluence. Tonight, we're going to unlock the secrets to a fulfilling and prosperous life that goes beyond monetary wealth. Now, we all know that we live in a material world where money is the driver therein, but there is something greater than money. There is essence that we must get to, an energy source. So whether you're seeking to enhance your relationship tonight, improve your well-being, or deepen your spiritual connection, The ABCs of Affluence will provide you with valuable tools and perspectives to elevate your understanding and experience of influence. So again, I welcome each of you who have decided to join on tonight. And I pray that tonight something will be shared that is uplifting and encouraging. Now, I don't know if you could see this, but this is the little book. I've had it for some years. It's called Creating Affluence, Wealth Consciousness in the Field of All Possibilities by Deepak Chopra. He's the MD. Now, Oasis Spiritual Center for Divine Living is about introducing you to conversations that expand you beyond what you already know. And sometimes when I'm sharing information, it's not information that has to be totally a new idea or a new thought or something creatively designed by me. But there's so much out here in the earth realm right now that we're not familiar with, and we've not even tapped into those things, and we're trying to tap into new things. I believe that Source has presented to us at various times truths that we have not really unpacked properly. And I believe this book by Deepak Chopra is one of those books that talk about the truths that we have not tapped into. So tonight we're going to start it with, I'm going to go through the chapter he has that states the A to Z steps in creating affluence. I found that these teachings kind of center me and it really pulls me back into the balance of not being so materially driven, but to understand that the material is just a representative of the spiritual. And so we want to look at that. So the A to Z steps to creating affluence, I'll give you the A to Z's, and it's not necessarily steps that you have to follow in any particular order, but just being familiar with them. I know we live in a day where people want to know the 1, 2, 3 of doing things so they can get it quickly, they can get it right here, and they can get it right now. But we're going to just take some time this evening and look at these 26 steps or 26 alphabetical impressions that we can look at to understand affluence better. So I'll start with A and go all the way through Z, and then we'll work through, see how far we get tonight, because I want to begin to share this with you, and then we can unpack it. So we're going to start with, let me cut my sound system off here. So we're going to start with A and work our way to Z. So in this book, he says A, all possibilities, absolute authority, affluence, abundance. B, better and best. C is carefreeness and charity. D is demand and supply, or known as Dharma. E is exulting in the success of others, expecting the best. F is failure, contains the seed to success. Gratitude, generosity, God, the gap, and goals represent the G. Happiness and humanity is the H. I, intent or intentions. J, judgment is unnecessary. K, knowledge contains organizing power. L, love and luxury. M, making money for others, motivating others. N, saying no to negativity. O, life is the coexistence of opposites, opportunity, open and honest communication. P, purpose in life, pure potentiality. Q, to question. R, receiving is as necessary as giving. S, spending and service. T, transcendence, timelessness, awareness, talent bank, and tithing. U, understanding the unity behind all diversity. V, values. W, wealth consciousness without worries. And X, expressing honest appreciation and thanks to all who help us. and Y, youthful vigor, and Z, zest for life. So those are the 26 A to Z steps to creating affluence. So let's delve into the book here a little bit. I see a hand up, so I want to see. Hi, Tia, I see your hand is up. Is there a question or you just came into the room? Okay, so I'll take it that means she just came into the room. So I'm going to lower your hand. I know you, I see you there, so that way I'll know. Okay, good. So we'll start with what then are the states of awareness? The A to Z steps of creating affluence. The information and energy that gives rise to the experience of wealth in our lives for the sake of convenience and to make it easy to remember what Deepak has done here. He's listed them in order as A to Z steps. In his experience, it was not necessary to consciously practice the attitudes that he shares here to describe them in order for materialize wealth. Using effort to consciously practice an attitude or cultivate a mood is unnecessary. Sometimes we use too much effort, and so we want to make it easy breezy. And that's what I enjoyed about when I read this a couple of days ago. I said this would be something great to share with you. So A to Z attitudes are that we know the steps, that we are aware of them. The more we become aware of them, the more this knowledge gets structured into our conscious awareness. Then it's more likely that our attitudes and our behaviors will change spontaneously without any effort on our part, because we got it there. Knowledge has organizing power inherently in it. And so we're going to go through the A's to the Z's. So we can see how far we get looking at the time that we have this evening. So when he talks about A stands for all possibilities, absolute authority, affluence, and abundance. The true nature, he says, of our ground state and the state of the universe is that it is a field of all possibilities. That's the spirit realm. That's the unseen world. In our most primordial form, we are a field of possibilities. We come from a field of impossibilities. We express as those possibilities. From this level, it is possible to create anything. So we can create anything from the invisible field to the visible field. This field is our own essential nature. It's our inner self. That's why we have to tap into a oneness of expression, a oneness of being. I am the Father, I one. And so even when we look at I am the Father, I one is I and my thoughts are one, because our thoughts come from above. And so we want to make sure that just as our thoughts come from above, that we go beyond our physical self and we go into the all-encompassing source, which is in the heavens, unseen. It is called the absolute, and it is the ultimate authority. It is intrinsically affluent because it gives rise to the infinite diversity and abundance of the universe. So when we talk about A, we're talking about the affluence, the authority, the abundance that is found in the universe. The B stands for better and best. Looking at better and best, we mean evolution implies getting better and better. Each day we should be better than the day before, or perfecting the thing we did yesterday in a more perfect way. So when we look at the implication of getting better and better in every way with time, ultimately getting for ourselves the best of everything. So that's transformation too. Transformation starts with knowing your best today and evolving and expressing tomorrow your best today in a better way. People with wealth consciousness settle only for the best. That's right. You're not always looking for a bargain. You're not always looking for a sale. You're not looking for someone to give something to you. You settle on the idea that if I have an idea, that the desire that's dropped into me has been given to me. And if Source gives me a desire, then Source also has the ability to bring it to pass. is I and the Father are one. So I don't need to necessarily look for something to come from the outside of me, but being present that everything that comes to me comes through me. That's important. People with wealth conscious settle only for the best. This is also called the principle of highest first. And sometimes you have to be careful because I know some individuals who enjoy going to thrift stores. One, because you find some good things there. But most people that I know go to thrift stores because they call themselves being frugal, because they perhaps don't have or believe they have the money to get that thing that they desire fresh off the rack. And sometimes you might want to even go to a tailor to get something made for yourself versus wearing something that someone else has worn, something that doesn't fit you to a T. Oh, it comes off of the rack and it's a 12 and you're a 12, but you might be a 12.2, but it's a 12, so you wear it. And so when we talk about affluence and understanding the B of it is better and best, that you have a consciousness and you only settle for the best. And I want you to get to that, where you only expect the best for yourself and you only settle for the best for yourself. This also is called the principle of highest first. Go first class all the way. And the universe will respond by giving you the best. Sometimes when you're going on a trip, you look for the deal instead of looking for the destination. Look for the destination. Get an idea of the experience you want to have and let the universe bring it to you. First, if you craft the experience in your mind based on what's in your hand, then you have a limited experience. You don't have the best because there's better. So you want to take on an influence mindset with the B standing for better and best. Now let's look at the C. The C stands for carefreeness and charity. Carefreeness and charity. He says $1 billion in the bank without the experience of carefreeness and charity is still a state of poverty. I know people that have tons of money in the bank, but they're not living in a carefreeness. They're still thinking, what can I do to protect my savings? And there's nothing wrong with being understanding investments and all those things, but having a greater sense of knowingness that even when this goes out, more will come in. If this wastes away in some way, that it'll come back, and it'll come back better and best because you'll learn something that you didn't know prior. Wealth consciousness, by definition, is a state of mind, he says. If you are constantly concerned about how much money you need, then irrespective of the actual dollar amount you have in your account, you are really poor. So you have to be careful. You got to balance this out. You got to run the right frequency. I like that. If you are constantly concerned, this is C, about how much money you need, then irrespective of the actual dollar amount you have in your account, you're really poor. When we talk about carefreeness automatically leads to charity and sharing because the source from which it comes is infinite, unbounded, and inexhaustible. Like the woman who had 2 mites. All she had, it says she threw all she had in her hand. But she had more in her head than she had in her hand. She knew a couple things, that she could not possibly deplete the abundance of her Father. And you have to come to the same realization too, that what you have in your account, what you have in your hand is not representative of what you have. So what belongs to the Father belongs to the child. Now, the child does not have access to all of it, but as the child matures, then that child gets access to it. And ultimately, it's an inheritance. And so we have to understand that we must take on a carefreeness and a charity. Now, charity means that we are givers. Charity means that I give knowing that I'm not depleting what I have, but I'm moving, I'm circulating what Source has given to me, because everything that Source gives you is not to be consumed by you. Some of what Source gives you is to be outsourced. Source does not drop money from heaven out of the sky. Now, it might drop out of someone's pocket, but it came out of someone's pocket, out of another material being. So we have to understand that we must be charitable. If you have a wealth consciousness, if you have a consciousness of abundance, you must understand charity. It begins at home. Carefreeness automatically leads to charity and sharing because the source from which it comes is infinite, unbounded, and inexhaustible. That's the C. Look at the D. D stands for the law of demand and supply. And so many people want to operate in that. They say, I shall decree a thing and it shall be. This is true. But we may decree one thing, but the rest of the day, we're running a frequency that washes out what we decreed because we really don't believe it. D stands for the law of demand and supply. Whatever service we are here to give, there's a demand for it. Ask yourself, how may I serve? And how can I help? The answers are within you. When you find those answers, you will also see and know that there is a demand for your service. If you have a desire to do something, there's a demand for it. D also stands for the word dharma. Each of us has a dharma or a purpose in life. When we are in dharma, we enjoy and love our work. When you're called, when you know what your why is, when you're walking in your dharma, when you're walking in your purpose, life is fulfilling. And it's the thing you don't do, you would do for no charge. You just do it. Many times we do things and we charge for those things because we see this as our way to make it through life. But the work you do is not about the amassing of wealth, but the work you do is the discharging of your gift. It says your gift makes room for you. So your work, your dharma, is to be given in charity. I've been having this for the longest since I've been in ministry. I've teach the tithe, I teach the principles of giving, and I really don't care to spend a lot of time in that conversation because I do what I do, not for wealth, not for the exchange of money, but I do because it's my desire, it's my drive, it's my dharma. And I like to be in a position, and that's what I charge the universe with, allow me to experience life, my best life, without always having to look at what am I going to charge. To be able to gift my gift away is the way I want to live. Now, that doesn't mean I'll be in poverty. It doesn't mean that I won't have the wealth and riches, but it does mean that what I do is not motivated by what I'll get, but it's motivated by what I give. That's service. That's what Dharma stands for. The E stands for exulting in the success of others, especially your competitors and those who consider themselves your enemies. Your competitors and enemies will become your helpers when you exult in their success. When you can look at them and wish them well and be happy that they are succeeding. Not to say, wow, how is that person that appears to be wicked appearing now to be walking in wealth? It's not for you to concern yourself, but it's better for you to say, I am glad for them. E also stands for the principle that expectancy determines outcome. We're talking about the A through Z's of abundance, of affluence. Expectancy. Do you have the E of expectancy in your life? So we always expect the best, and you'll see the outcome is spontaneously contained in your expectation. What you expect is what you get. What you expect, you begin to see. And what you begin to see begins to define what you will get and what you will be. So we want to Make sure that we exalt those who are thriving, who are experiencing life the way you want to desire to experience it. So even if they don't appear to be of your faith or don't appear necessarily to be working or walking in ma'at or in the balance of life, don't get into the judgments. Just say this: what God has done for one, he'll do for me. What Source does for him or her, Source can do for me. I just have to put myself in position. And when I see someone thriving in a way I would like to thrive, then I just say, that's an opportunity for Source to show me what it is I can experience. At one time, I used to be kind of jealous of Steve Harvey. And then the Spirit ministered to me, and I began to exalt him. I knew he wasn't a life coach. I knew that people was writing the books for him and things like that. But I began to feel somewhat jealous. But then the Spirit says, why be jealous? If you're in a universe of abundance, there's enough for you. You just have to focus on you. And so I began to watch Steve in another way. And before you know it, I ended up on Steve Harvey's show, sitting next to him, having a conversation with him after the show, and that was good for me to see him up close and personal. But it didn't happen until I started exalting him. So we have to, and he wasn't my enemy. And sometimes we throw shade on individuals because their lights are shining in the way that we want to be illuminated. Then become one with that person. Celebrate that person. Know their story. Now, yours will be uniquely different. So E is expectancy and exalting. F stands for the fact that in every failure, or what appears to be failure, is the seed of success in the manifestation of the material from the non-material, of the visible from the invisible. A fundamental mechanic is involved. This is the principle of feedback. F stands for feedback. Our failures are stepping stones, or I like to say, our failing experiences, our failing moments are stepping stones in the mechanics of creation, bringing us ever closer to our goals. In reality, there is no such thing as failure. What we call failure is just the mechanism through which we can learn to do things right, or perfection, or better. Okay? But sometimes we tend to be okay with the mediocre performance. Just that's good enough. But you have to begin to always want to give your best. And that's we talked about last week, blind spots. We all have blind spots. And when you're open to receive conversations from others who can see what you can't see, it gives you the opportunity to perfect yourself. I had a conversation this afternoon with one of the individuals who often on our prayer line. Spirit told me to call, and I called, and in the midst of calling, they were having a emotional day. This individual was crying, and they were shocked that I called. And I asked them what was going on, and they went on to tell me of an experience that they had in an interaction with a customer. And it came back to, so is the customer giving you a blind spot? Is the customer saying something that really you needed to know? Or was the customer really being rude and trying to tear you down? So even in the tearing down, then you have to ask yourself, well, was there any truth in what the person is saying? And that's a difficult one to do, is to step back and listen to what has been said, what has been shared with you, and not always when the person is with you, but when they leave when they leave your presence, when they've said something, instead of focusing on maybe you feel bad and you're saying the person was a bad person, maybe just stepping back, taking a deep breath, sitting in it and saying, what did I just hear? Is this the first time I've heard it? And many times it won't be the first time you've heard it. But you feel bad this time because it has come to you, because when it was said in the soft, gentle ways, you didn't pick it up. And so you had a very abrasive situation. So we have to be conscious. Must be conscious. When people highlight things that appears to be judgments, Maybe they're not judgments. Maybe they don't have the compassion or know how to say it. Or maybe they're not even sending the message directly to you, but it is for you. So we want to be open to what appears to be failure are only fixing us in order that we can have much more success. The G of this thing, the G of creating affluence stands for gratitude, generosity, God, the gap, and the goal. Gratitude and generosity are natural attributes of an affluent consciousness. You're always grateful. Even when it appears as though you don't have as much. When I did not have what I had at one time in the natural, I was grateful for the opportunity to have experienced it. One day, my kids told me not too long ago, one of my children, I forgot which one they said, which one it was, but they said something that really touched me. And they said to me that, one thing about you and Mom, you all made sure we had really happy childhoods. We did a lot of things. We had a lot of fun. We went a lot of places. And even if I don't get to experience them again in my life, I have gratitude. And that was powerful. And I really believe that we should spend our lives making sure that our children have the best that they can have, the best experience while they're under your protection, while they're in your four walls of your home, because there's going to come a day when they leave and life has some real hard turns and twists and drop-offs. And so sometimes when it gets really bad, they can look back and say, wow, I know I don't have what I used to have, but I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to experience it. It even can be the motivation for them to move out of the temporary season that they may be in their life. So when we talk about the G, which stands for gratitude, generosity, God, gap, and goal, the only thing to go after is the best, the goal. You go after the best. The principle of the highest first. Why not adopt God as the role model? Why not look at Source as your role model? And realizing that what it can do, you can do. After all, no one is more affluent than Source, for Source is the field of all possibilities. And you come from that field, and you're made up of the things of that field. There's a precise mechanism through which all desires can be manifested. These 4 steps are as follows. Now listen to this. Deepak says there is a precise mechanism through which all desires can be manifested. These 4 steps are: 1, you slip into the gap between thoughts. So you want to find the gap in between thoughts. For the gap, he says, is the window, the corridor, the transformational vortex through which the personal psyche communicates with the cosmic psyche. The in-between, before the manifestation, the in-between. He says, step 2, you have a clear intention of a clear goal in the gap. So before it comes into manifestation, you have a clear intention. Step 3, you relinquish your attachment to the outcome, because chasing the outcome or getting attached to it entails coming out of the gap. So you want to live in the gap, be comfortable in the gap. Step 4, you let the universe handle the details. Let me say it another way. You let the one who outsources, known as Source, handle the details. You don't have to keep trying to figure it out. You don't have to keep trying to work it out. You just be present and ready to do what you see is showing you to do, what you hear is saying to do. And sometimes you know what to do because the situation that you're in dictates what to do. So you let the universe handle the details. We say things like the devil is in the details. The devil is not in the details. Source is in the details. It handles all the details. It is important to have a clear goal in your awareness, but it's also important to relinquish your attachment to the goal. And the goal is in the gap, and the gap is the potentiality to organize and to orchestrate the details that are required to affect the outcome. You just stay in the gap. Perhaps you recall an instant when you were trying to remember a name and you struggle, but with no success. Finally, you let go of your attachment to the outcome of getting this person's name. And then a little while later, the name flashed across the screen of your consciousness. This is the mechanics of the fulfillment of any desire. When we are struggling to recall the name, the mind was very active and turbulent. But ultimately, out of fatigue and frustration, you let go and the mind became quiet and slowly quieter. Perhaps so quiet that it was almost still. And you slipped into the gap where you released your desire and soon it was handed to you. This is the true meaning of ask and you shall receive, or knock and the door shall be open to you. So one of the easiest and most effortless ways of slipping into the gap is through the process of meditation. And isn't that wonderful that we start every day with meditation? And I encourage you to take time out. When you go on your lunch break, take a little time for meditation. When you get your 15-minute break, if you get 2:15 and a 30, make sure you spend some time in meditation. Even if you're at work and you have the type of job, no matter if you have a job where you are using your physical labor, your physical self, or your mental self, get into the gap. And you'll be surprised how you may come up with a creative or witty idea to do that, what you're doing physically, or you may get the answer to that. Maybe you have to draft something, you have to write something, and you had a loss for words or whatever. You have to respond to something. If you have that gap experience, then you come back and you're refreshed. So we want to learn how to do it. So one of the easiest and most effortless ways for getting or slipping into the gap is through the process of meditation. And the easiest ways to get into meditation is not the physical position. It's just being still and following your breath. Because your breath will, if you watch your breath in and watch your breath out, it takes away what I call the monkey mind. You know, you got all these thoughts. Your mind is over here. Your mind is over here. It's like in a monkey in a cage, just jumping everywhere, just showing out. Your mind shows out. So you have to, or your brain shows out because it got all this information floating all around, trying to formulate it to get an outcome. So you have to be still and you breathe into it. You watch your breath go in and it settles down. Okay, so you want to do that. And there are many forms of meditation and prayer, he says, that can help you manifest desires from the level of the gap. But I have found what's easiest to me to get in the gap is breathing. Going for a walk gets me in the gap. Taking a nap gets me in the gap. So you have to find out what things you can do to get in the gap. Let's look at the H of this thing. H stands for happiness and humanity. And the fact that we are here to make all humans, we come in contact with happy. That's interesting. He says the H stands for happiness and humanity. And the fact that we are here to make all humans, we come in contact with happy. Life naturally evolves in the direction of happiness. We must constantly ask ourselves if what we are doing is going to make us and those around us happy. So it's not all about just making you happy at the expense of other people, but how do we become happy? You know, I'm here in St. Louis, and there was a situation recently that we're talking about the unity of the community, but certain individuals were doing things that made them happy, gratified them, versus how does it gratify the community? So you got to balance that thing out, because happiness is an ultimate goal. It is the goal of other goals. When we seek money or a good relationship or a great job, what we're really seeking is happiness. The mistake we make is not going for happiness first. I just want to be happy. That's what you should say. And you become a happy-go-lucky person. You become a happy, get lucky person. When you are happy, it's a resonance. And that resonance is a frequency that will cause things to come to you frequently. People like to be around happy people. Come on now. The mistake we make is not going for happiness first. If we did, everything else would allow. How do you feel about that? Going for happy. Being happy today. What will make me happy? And the thing that makes you happy, you will find that because you're happy, people are going to like to be around you because you resonate happiness. So happy. The next is I. I stands for the power of unbending. So we can make it through a couple more. I stands for the power of unbending intent or intention. An intent or intention that is not bent. It is to make an unchangeable decision from which it is impossible to go back. It is a singleness of mind, a singleness of purpose. It is a well-defined dharma or a well-defined purpose, not countermanded by any other conflicting desires or interests. You don't get thrown off when you know what you are deliberately and intentionally going to do today. That's why I tell people, write down what you're going to do today, what you desire to do, but you leave room in the gap. But sometimes we have too many shiny things that get us off of our intention, that bends or swerves or curves our deliberate intention. So you want to have a well-defined purpose, not countermanded by any other conflicting desire or interest. When other people show up, they have a strong intention. And they persuade you because you don't have a strong intention. You end up doing what they want to do. You may have fun, but you've gotten off track. In order to acquire wealth, or for that matter, anything in this physical universe, you must intend it. Intend it. Part of that expectation. Make a decision to go for it. How many of you are on the fence? You haven't made a decision to go for it. You're teetering and toddling on that fence. Make a decision. Go for it. Now that's for somebody tonight. You have to make a decision and go for it. Let's do that. The decision is unchangeable with fixity of purpose, not countermanded by anything. The universe handles the details, organizes, orchestrates opportunities. You have simply to be alert to the opportunities that present themselves. I found some wonderful space because I was intentional and deliberate. So I found wonderful space to deliver my deliverable. You know, I love doing it out here, but there's nothing like being up close and personal. It's nothing like seeing the expression on the face of the person who gets it, or the puzzle that you can help fix. But you can't get that in the virtual world because the people hide. They're hiding behind names. They're hiding behind cameras that don't work. Not hiding intentionally, but it's just more comfortable. Sometimes they're hiding so they can do some other things. So I like to get everybody in the room. So let's look at J, and we're gonna go. I'm gonna finish up K, and then we'll pick up the rest of them next week. So J stands for the fact that it is not necessary to judge. It is not necessary to judge yourself. It's not necessary to judge other people. Let people do themselves. And then you can just ask them how that's working for you. J stands for the fact that it is not necessary to judge. When we relinquish our need to constantly classify things as good or bad, right or wrong. I was at the Stepper Union, which was the Steppers weekend we had here in St. Louis, and one of the individuals said that she had saw my advertisement that I was going to do the the Sunday service for them. And she says, this is good because we are out here dancing and sinning, and we can make sure we go to service in the morning. Then I said, there's no sin in it. You're not missing the mark. It's how you do what you do. And there's no sin in it. And so we got to really get out of that religious conversation of labeling everything as good or bad, or everything is a sin, or everything is the missing of a mark. When some things, the word says all things are lawful, but they may not be expedient. The very thing that you can do today, tomorrow, source may say, not today. The sin is when you continue to do what source says, not today, you miss the mark. So you have to be conscious of what it is you should be doing. Our internal dialogue begins to quieten when we shed the burden of judgment. And it is then easier to assess the gap. Most of what we hear in our mind is the judgments we have. I didn't do this. I need to do this. I'm late on this. Things don't appear to be happening for me. You quiet the judgments, and then you find the gap gets bigger and you can fall into it. It is important, therefore, to get away from definitions, labels, descriptions, interpretations, evaluations, analysis, judgments. For all these create the turbulence of our internal dialogue. You're starting something new. I could have easily go read the best practices and they tell me what to do. But they begin to be overwhelming. So I just try to be present to doing everything that I can do each day in a way that moves me closer to what I want to experience. You can get into the analyzing, you can get into the evaluations, you can read the best practices, you can do all of those things. But get in the gap and allow intuition. It's the eye, we an eye. And he doesn't even talk about intuition, but the Spirit just told me the eye of affluence, the eye that leads to affluence is intuition. To hear from inside, the eye is intuition. The eye is inside. Okay? And from the intuition, you determine what you're going to do intentionally. So you don't set your intentions and then look for the intuition. Part of the meditation, part of the quietness is to hear what it is that you should be intending to do. It comes through the intimacy. There's another eye of not the intellect, but the intellect should support the intimacy that produces the intuition. You hear right from source. Okay, so you want to do that. Be careful of your internal dialogue. The last one for tonight, we're going to stop with K. We were talking about the ABCs of affluence. K stands for the fact that organizing power is inherent in knowledge. Okay, organizing power is inherent in knowledge. Knowledge of any kind gets metabolized spontaneously and brings about a change in awareness from where it is possible to create new realities. So knowledge is not power. Knowledge applied. So the things you know, it says the truth you know, the intimate thing you put to work, application. Now you know it. You may have read a book about tithing, but if you never applied the tithe, the law of the tithe, you can't tell someone it works. The knowledge of it comes from the intimacy of knowing it or doing it. He says, again, knowledge of any kind gets metabolized spontaneously and brings about a change in awareness from where it is possible to create new realities. For example, becoming familiar with the knowledge in this book will spontaneously create the conditions for wealth and affluence. Becoming intimate with it. And we're going to close right there. The things you become intimate with. When we say knowledge, is to know. Adam knew Eve, and it produced something. When you are intimate with something, when you know something, when you're up close and personal with it, you can produce something. So those are the A through the K of the alphabets of create and influence. We're trying to create, replace. We are creating a wealth consciousness, understanding that everything that is to come into the realm of your experience already exists in the unseen realm. So we have to learn to move it from the unseen to the seen, to get it on the scene. Moving from that scene, not S-E-N, but moving from that S-C-E-N-E, that act in a play, moving from there to this S-C-E-N-E, from the invisible, from the creative thought to the materialized thought, from that which is invisible to that which is visible. Awesome. That's what I have for you tonight. Anybody got any feedback? Anybody want to share anything before we wrap up tonight? It's 7:55. Before we wrap up, because I'm going to wrap up with the meditation that we had this morning that had to do with let go and let God. Let source do what source does. And that is the outsource to you. So let me see here if I got any feedback from anybody. Okay, I don't see anything. Oh, I just see I'm 20 people away from having 1,000 subscribers. Something magical happens when you get 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. It monetizes. Then that things will begin to happen. Awesome. So I don't see any questions. Let me see here. Trinity says, thank you, peace and blessings. Let me go through these. Yeah, that was Trinity says, peace and blessing. Cheryl said, great day, good teaching. I'm glad you resonated with that. I hope you can take this, what I've shared tonight, and become intimate with it. We'll revisit these next week, where we'll pick up and move into the remainder of the alphabet, creating affluence, wealth consciousness in the field of all possibilities. So I'm going to close with this tonight. Just close your eyes and take a deep breath in. Hold that breath. Allow that breath to do what it's been designed to do. And as you do that, you feel at ease. And as you do that, you let go, you release, and you relax. I want you to continue to breathe in and out this evening, bringing this day to a close, letting go of all that didn't serve your highest and greatest good, and letting go of those things that did serve your highest and greatest good, making space for what is to be to be. Letting go and letting God gives you peace. Trying to do everything yourself can be exhausting, but relying solely on source can feel as though you're not doing enough to help yourself. You find the perfect balance of activity and surrender when you let go and let source. In this place of cooperation, your human and divine natures are in harmony. It's in the gap. You take constructive action and do what is yours to do in this world when it's time to do it. When you feel complete with your worldly efforts, you let go. You cease activity and also release your thoughts and concerns about whether your efforts were enough. You let them go. The divine in you is your strength and your support. You trust your guidance, that intuition, to deliver you on the right path and direct your steps on the right day in the right way. You let go, trusting the best outcome has been dispatched and is on its way. So you simply rest in Psalms, the 143rd division of Psalms, that says, teach me the way I should go. For to you I lift up my soul. I return my essence to you, that you may teach me, you may lead me, you may guide me. For your word says, or the word says, the steps of the righteous, those who are in alignment with you, are ordered by the law. And so it is. Amen. Have a wonderful evening, guys. I will talk to you 6 o'clock in the morning. If you don't know about it, go to the website, oasisspiritualcenter.com, and go over to the prayer tab, and there's a phone number and all the information about our daily meditation. We practice what we teach. Join us tomorrow morning, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. Central Standard Time till approximately 6:15. We get a lot in within that time span. It changes your day. Have a wonderful day. Peace.